Ostracized over my inheritance, I sought peace but faced humiliation. Furious, I cut off my sister's rent, exposing my parents' manipulation. I arrived for a family meal, but they remarked, "We weren't expecting you. Go away, loser." I replied, "Okay. But from now on, you'll be paying my sister's rent." They begged, but it was too late. I did not want to go at first. Why would I, given what had happened in the previous years? But something inside me didn't want to hold the hatred forever. My father was turning 57, and while I wasn't their favorite person, I figured I could be the larger man and at least show up. Things had gotten awful ever since I acquired my grandfather's estate. Grandpa and I were close. I spent a lot of time with him while growing up. He was often telling me stories about his early troubles, how he had to fight for all he has. I believe he saw something of himself in me, which is why he left me a large sum of money when he died. This decision did not sit well with either my parents or my sister Olivia. They were outraged that Grandpa had not left them anything, as if it were my fault or something. I attempted to explain that I had nothing to do with it, but they would not listen. After that, nothing remained the same. They treated me as an alien, as if I had stolen from them. They were frigid at family gatherings. Sometimes they didn't even invite me. I maintained my distance. But this time, I decided to try and make things better. I purchased a bottle of my father's favorite whiskey, the costly variety he only drank on exceptional occasions. I even bought him a box of gourmet cigars. Maybe I was stupid to believe that a few nice gifts would change everything. But I had to try. When I arrived at her place, Olivia answered the door. She was the one person who had not fully shut me off. We weren't very tight, but we kept in touch here and there. "Hey, Jeffrey," she said, slightly astonished. "I didn't know you were coming." "Yeah," I responded. "I thought I'd show up for Dad's birthday." She paused for a moment before shrugging and letting me in. As I came into the living room, I noticed a group of family sitting talking and laughing. For a little while, everything seemed normal. But then I saw my parents. My mother's face became paler, and my father's attitude stiffened. The room became quiet. "You," my father growled. "What are you doing here?" I tried to remain cool. "I came to wish you a happy birthday. I brought some presents." He scoffed. "We didn't invite you." My mom shook her head. "Why are you even here? You always bring trouble. Just leave." I could feel my patience running out. I'd come here to make peace. And this was the reaction I received? I glanced around at the other family. They were uncomfortable, as if they were seeing something they weren't allowed to. "Look," I remarked, maintaining an even tone. "I'm not here to fight. I just wanted to celebrate with you." My father snorted. "Celebrate? You're nothing but a loser. You think a few gifts will make up for everything?" That struck a nerve. All those years of being treated as dirt, as if I didn't belong, came flooding back. I clenched my jaw, hoping to keep it together. But then my father pushed it further. "Get out, Jeffrey," he instructed. "We don't want you here." And that was all? Something inside of me cracked. "Fine," I replied, my voice frigid. "I'll go. But guess what? I've been paying Olivia's rent all this time because you couldn't be bothered to help her. Not anymore. That's on you now." Their expressions froze. It was as if they hadn't expected me to advocate for myself. My mother suddenly hurried forward. "Wait, Jeffrey." "No," I interrupted. "I'm done. You don't want me here? Fine. But you'll regret this." I turned and walked out, leaving the home completely silent. As I approached my car, I could hear them cry from the front door, imploring me to stop. But I did not glance back. I got in and sped away, fury rising in my chest. I didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was certain. I wasn't going to be their punching bag longer. The following morning, my phone burst. Olivia had called me 6 times, left 3 voicemails, and sent numerous texts. I ignored her at first. I needed some distance to clear my mind after what occurred last night. But curiosity got the best of me, so I listened to one of the voicemails. "Jeffrey, it's Olivia. What the hell is going on? Mom and Dad are freaking out, saying you cut me off. They're blaming me for everything. Call me back." I grumbled and threw my phone onto the bed. Of course, they blamed her. When things went wrong, they were usually the first to blame others. I still felt horrible for Olivia. It wasn't actually her fault. I had been assisting her with her rent for the past 2 years because our parents refused to aid her when she was in need. But I was not going to let them guilt me into continuing, especially after how they treated me. Olivia arrived at my apartment approximately an hour later. She did not even knock. She simply barged in. "Jeffrey, what the hell have you been doing?" she asked. Good to see you too, I murmured, crossing my arms. I'm serious, she snapped. Dad called all the relatives and told them you threw a tantrum at the party. Now half the family is pissed at me because they think I'm the reason you stopped paying my rent. I raised an eyebrow. Wait, what? He told them that? Yeah, she replied, throwing up her hands. They say I must have sided with you against them or something. Uncle Mark called me this morning and asked if I was plotting with you. It's crazy. This was new. I had not anticipated the rest of the family to become involved so quickly. I leaned back against the kitchen counter, trying to take everything in. Well, Olivia, I'm sorry you got caught in the middle, I told her. But I'm done being their scapegoat. They've treated me like crap ever since Grandpa's inheritance. They didn't even want me there last night. I'm not going to keep playing nice when all they do is insult me. She crossed her arms and stared at me. They could have at least talked to me first, you know. I need that money. I know, I admitted, softening my tone. But maybe it's time for them to take some responsibility. They're your parents too. Why should I be the one to keep you afloat while they sit on their hands? Olivia did not respond soon away. I could tell she was split. On the one hand, she knew I was correct. On the other hand, she was torn between her allegiance to me and the pressure from our parents. Eventually, she shook her head. This is going to get ugly, she grumbled. I'm ready for it, I said. And things did get ugly. Faster than I thought. By the afternoon, word had spread among the wider family. My cousin Megan, who always liked to play the role of mediator, called me. Hey, Jeffrey, she said cautiously. I heard about the fight last night. What's going on? I gave her the outline, omitting some of the harsher aspects. Megan listened carefully and sighed. You know they say you ruined the party, right? But honestly, a lot of people are on your side. Uncle Rob thinks your dad and mom crossed the line. And Aunt Lisa told them off for the way they treated you. This was surprising. Aunt Lisa normally avoided family turmoil, so her involvement must have irritated her greatly. Wow, I said. Didn't see that coming? Yeah, Megan replied. But Olivia called me earlier, and she's pissed. I think she feels like you threw her under the bus. I massaged my temples. This was turning into a full-fledged family feud. A part of me felt bad. However, another part of me felt relieved. For once, I wasn't the only one feeling their fury. Maybe they'll finally realize how toxic our parents can be. Later that night, Olivia sent me a lengthy text message. She accused me of being selfish and leaving her when she needed me the most. It stung. But I knew she was just acting out under pressure. I did not respond. 2 days later, things erupted again. My father showed up at my workplace. I worked at a downtown marketing business and was astonished to find him standing in the entrance. He wasn't even attempting to mask his rage. We need to talk, he stated bluntly. I'm working, I said, my voice calm. You can call me later. No, he replied. We're doing this now. I sighed and let him outside. He didn't spend any time lying to me. You embarrassed this family, he remarked. Do you realize how many people are turning against us because of your stunt? You think you're better than us now, don't you? Better than you? No, I replied. But I'm not going to let you treat me like dirt anymore. I came to your birthday out of respect, and you threw it back in my face. His eyes narrowed. You think you're entitled because of Grandpa's money? Without him, you'd have nothing. That's rich, I replied. You're the one who's bitter about not getting a share. This isn't about respect or family, it's about control. He did not answer immediately, but I could see the rage in his eyes. Finally, he added, You're going to regret this, Jeffrey. No, I replied firmly. You are. He stormed away without saying another thing. As I watched him leave, I understood this wasn't over. But for the first time in years, I felt like I was finally standing firm. A few days later, I learned of the impact from other relatives. Aunt Lisa called to complain about how my father had gone around attempting to turn the entire family against me. Apparently, he told everyone that I had betrayed the family and cut off Olivia as punishment. But, to my astonishment, some relatives did not believe the narrative. Uncle Rob had plainly told my father, You treated Jeffrey like garbage, didn't you expect consequences? Lisa stated that several others were also beginning to see through the act. They remembered how distant my parents had gotten since the inheritance incident. Some of them were now silently supporting me. However, not everyone was supportive. Olivia had gone all in on our parents, and she wasn't holding back. She posted a passive-aggressive rant on Facebook, which everyone knew was directed at me. Family is supposed to be about support, not conditions. Some people think they can just walk away when it's inconvenient for them. Must be nice to live with no responsibilities. Some of us aren't so lucky. It required every ounce of willpower not to shoot back. My phone was buzzing with messages from cousins asking what was going on. The drama was growing like wildfire, and I was caught in the midst. Olivia returned to my house later in the evening. This time, she appeared fatigued rather than angry. She didn't even bother with greetings. "Can we talk?" she inquired. I nodded and invited her in. She sank down into the couch and moaned. "This whole thing is a mess, Jeffrey. I have people calling me a traitor, others saying I'm too dependent on you. I can't win. What am I supposed to do?" "Olivia, I understand," I replied. "But this isn't just about the rent. It's about the way they've treated me all these years. I came to Dad's party to make peace, and they humiliated me in front of everyone. You think I'm just going to roll over and take it?" She gazed down at her hands. "I know they were wrong," she said. "But they're still our parents. I don't want to be in the middle of this fight." I could tell she was straining, caught between her allegiance to them and the comfort I had provided. I decided to be honest. "Look, Olivia, I never wanted to make you choose sides. But I'm not going to let them walk all over me anymore. I've supported you because I care, not because I owe them anything. If they want to be responsible for you, let them." Her eyes were filled with frustration. "You don't get it," she retorted. "They won't help me. They never have. Without your support, I'm screwed." For a brief minute, I felt guilty. But then I remembered the years of insults. How they had regarded me like an outcast. I was not going to give up my mental health for those who did not appreciate me. "I'm sorry, Olivia," I whispered quietly. "But I can't do this anymore." She stood and shook her head. "Fine. But don't come crying to me when this all backfires." She went without saying anything else. The following day, events took an unexpected turn. Uncle Rob called to ask if I could meet him for coffee. I agreed, curious to know what he wanted. When I arrived, he quickly got to the point. "Look, Jeffrey, I know things have been tough with your parents, but I want you to know that you're not alone. A lot of us have seen the way they treated you. It's not right." "Thank you, Rob," I replied, drinking my coffee. "But I'm not sure what good it does." "They're not going to change." "Maybe not," he acknowledged. "But I think it's time we stop letting them control the narrative. You don't have to fight this fight alone." He went on to say that other relatives were preparing to confront my parents about their behavior. I had not expected this. Most of them normally avoided family conflict, but this time they were taking a stand. That night, Aunt Lisa called me. "We just had a meeting with your parents," she stated. "It got heated. We told them they needed to apologize to you and start treating you with respect. Of course, your dad was stubborn as hell, but I think we got through to your mom a little." I was stunned. For years, I felt lonely, as if I were the only one who recognized how toxic my parents could be. The family was starting to push back against their actions. Still, I wasn't waiting for an apology. People, including my father, did not change overnight. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get weirder, Olivia sent me a message. It was short and mysterious. "We need to talk. Something's happened." Olivia's message made me nervous. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the best of me. I texted her back. "What's going on?" Her reply was immediate. "Come to Mom and Dad's. It's serious." Despite my better judgment, I drove over. I knew I was in an enemy country, but if something was truly wrong, I decided I should at least listen to her. When I arrived, Olivia met me at the door. She had a solemn expression on her face, as if she were bracing herself for something heavy. "They're in the living room," she replied softly. I followed her inside and found my parents sitting stiffly on the couch. They both appeared tight, but there was also a hint of something strange. My father motioned for me to sit down, but I remained standing. "All right," I replied, crossing my arms. "What's this about?" My mother sighed heavily. "We didn't want to tell you this way, but Olivia's in trouble. She's behind on her rent again," my father explained. "We just found out that she might be evicted." I looked at Olivia. She looked aside, biting her lip. "We can't let that happen," my father added. "She needs your help, Jeffrey, just until she gets back on her feet." I stared at them for a time, allowing the words to sink in. Something did not feel right. "How did you just find out about this?" I requested an explanation. "We got a call from her landlord," my mother stated hurriedly. "Too quick." Olivia shifted uneasily and avoided eye contact. My instincts kicked in. She had lied to me previously, and the whole situation reeked of manipulation. "So let me get this straight," I said carefully. You're telling me that her landlord called you instead of her. And this is the first you're hearing about it? My father's face tightened. Look, Jeffrey, this isn't the time to question details. Olivia needs help. I turned to face Olivia. Is this true? Are you behind on the rent? She hesitated before shaking her head. Number, I'm not behind. I felt my jaw clench. Then why are you all playing this game? Olivia grimaced. They thought if you thought it was serious enough, you'd help again. That was it? I snapped. Are you kidding me? You dragged me here with a fake emergency just to manipulate me into giving you more money? I turned to my parents. What is wrong with you people? You couldn't just ask me like normal people. Jeffrey, don't overreact, my mother said, her tone defensive. We were trying to protect Olivia. You're the one who cut her off. No, I snapped back. I cut you off. Olivia is a grown woman, and if she's in trouble, it's between her and me. But instead of coming to me honestly, you chose to lie. And you wonder why I want nothing to do with you. I turned to face Olivia. You went along with this? She seemed embarrassed. They pressured me. I didn't know what else to do. Well, congratulations, I replied bitterly. You all just made things 10 times worse. I stormed out. But I wasn't finished. My rage only escalated on the way home. I'd put up with their manipulation for years, but this was the final straw. Did they want to play games? Fine. I was going to set the record straight. When I arrived home, I began phoning and messaging the family who had been in contact with me. I told them everything, how my parents had lied about Olivia being in danger, how they had tried to guilt me into assisting after humiliating me at the party, and how they had turned the entire situation into a circus. The answer was quick and nasty. Uncle Rob contacted me first. You're telling me they made that whole story up? Jesus Christ. That's low, even for them. Aunt Lisa became very furious. I'm done with them, she said. They've played the victim card for too long. They're toxic, and they've been dragging this family into their mess for years. Word spread immediately. Within a day, the majority of the family understood the truth. The tide had completely changed. Relatives who had been on the fence began to cut off communication with my parents and Olivia. Nobody wants to deal with their deception and manipulation anymore. Olivia texted me and begged me to stop. Please, Jeffrey, you're losing everyone. They say it's your fault. My fault? I said. You brought this on yourself. For the first time in years, I felt genuinely supported. The family finally realized what I had been struggling with all along. My parents and Olivia attempted damage management, but it was too late. Nobody bought their justifications anymore. It was bizarre. For so long, I'd felt like the black sheep. But suddenly I was no longer an outcast. My parents were. Quite frankly, it seemed like justice. A week later, the aftermath was complete. My parents attempted to rally support from the rest of the family. However, their expectations had not been met. Megan told me that they had even sought out some of their more distant relatives, whom they hadn't spoken to in years, in an attempt to elicit sympathy. They called Aunt Marie, Megan remarked, laughing as she told me. You know, the one who never puts up with anybody's nonsense. Apparently, my father told her a sob story about how I turned everyone against them. He replied, maybe if you weren't such a control freak, your family wouldn't hate you. Then she hung up with him. Hearing that was more satisfying than I want to admit. But the big shock came when I discovered they were attempting to seek assistance from Uncle Peter, the wealthy individual who resided out of state. Peter had always been rather indifferent about family problems, but he was not ignorant. He had seen through my parents' games years before. I later learned that when they phoned him, he did not hold back. Peter told them straight out, Megan explained. Don't call me again. I'm not wasting my time with your theatrics. It was horrible. Every lifeline they attempted to clutch crumbled into dust. The people they formerly ruled had had enough. By the end of the week, my parents were almost completely separated. Olivia attempted to contact a few cousins, but none of them were interested in getting involved anymore. The entire family had cut her off. They're done, Rob informed me. No one wants to deal with their drama. It's just them now, Mom, Dad, and Olivia in their little kingdom of misery. I nearly felt bad for Olivia. Almost. She had decided to side with them and support their lies. Now she was stranded on their sinking ship. A few days later, my father contacted me. I pondered ignoring it, but ultimately chose to respond. I was curious to hear what he would say. Jeffrey, he said after a pause. We need to talk. Do we? I said, my tone icy. We made some mistakes, he said hesitantly. But you've made things worse by turning everyone against us. Don't you think it's time to end this feud? I laughed bitterly. You think this is my fault? You brought this on yourself. You lied to me. You humiliated me in front of my family. Now you're facing the consequences, and you want me to fix it for you. Jeffrey, please. We're still family. Funny, I said. You didn't care about your family when you called me a loser in front of everyone. Now that you have no one left, you want my help? I'm done. He tried to argue, but I hung up. That was the last time I spoke to him. It was the last time I spoke with any of them. I later learned through the grapevine that they were fighting to maintain appearances. With their family ties cut, they had no one to rely on. Olivia, who had previously relied on my support, was now discovering the hard way that our parents had no intention of assisting her. As for me, I felt free. For the first time in years, I was not burdened by their toxicity. I had my life back, and the support of loved ones who genuinely cared about me. My parents and Olivia were left in their self-created realm. There is no one to blame but each other. And honestly, I was fine with that. We annulled our engagement because my fiancé valued friendship more than love when I asked his best man to wear a tuxedo. I, 26, am getting married to Mark, 28, a handsome, responsible, intelligent man with a kind heart and a great sense of humor. My sister Jennifer, 23, is going to be his best man. Jennifer is best friends with my husband Mark, 26. He's known her more than twice as long as he's known me. We only really met and talked at any length about 3 years ago or so. They were co-workers together at her high school job, and she's been a part of his gaming group since then. They went to the same college, and they're co-workers again now working for his friend John's, 42, company. Mark was in college for the better part of a decade getting 2 undergraduate degrees and his PhD, and Jennifer ended up doing the same major as him, likely due to his encouragement. She's thinking about her master's in the same field, but they both work full-time now. In addition to being co-workers and playing Dungeons and Dragons together, they also game online, and they hang out all the time. They've gone to conventions together, either as part of a group, or just the two of them. They do local classes and events together, and Mark helps Jennifer with her photography and editing. While she has a solid full-time job she likes, Jennifer still has aspirations of being a model, influencer. She loves fashion, and she's also into cosplay. After we got engaged, we were at a family dinner, and I was talking to Mark about the wedding party, and I mentioned that even though I have 2 sisters, I wanted my own best friend Helen, 26, to be my maid of honor. Mark said that was great, because he actually wanted to ask Jennifer to be his best man. Jennifer immediately and enthusiastically agreed. Being a female best man is just the kind of thing she'd love. Obviously, even if that meant she wouldn't be one of my bridesmaids. She also knew that between our other sister and some of my friends I had too many people who needed to be bridesmaids, and Mark was worried about being short on groomsmen. This was all fine and well until later on when we were talking about what people were going to wear. I picked out my dream wedding dress, and I coordinated the bridesmaid dresses, and Mark was going to have his groomsmen, most of which were other gaming buddies in tuxedos. I had to talk him out of putting them in cosplay/Ren Fair stuff. However, Jennifer was going to wear a dress. Jennifer is a very tall, very attractive woman, and to be perfectly frank, she has a large chest. The dress that she wants to wear was designed by one of her friends online, and while it's not white or anything, it's mostly red and black and pretty well matches the other groomsmen, and it's formal and fancy. It definitely shows off her figure. I wouldn't say in a slutty way at all, but it just does. She would also, as the best woman, stand out from the other men on the groom's side, especially in the heels she wanted to wear with the dress. After dropping a few hints here and there and broaching the subject of each side of the wedding party matching in women's tuxedos, I gently requested that Mark have Jennifer wear a tuxedo rather than the dress and shoes she wanted and he had previously liked. When they gave me pushback, I pointed out to Jennifer that she might be too exposed, or she might distract people with such a flashy dress. Jennifer gave me a dirty look and said half under her breath, "Are you fucking serious?" And before I could react, she just said, "Fine, fuck it, you're the bride. I'll wear the fucking tuxedo." Mark sighed and half said some things about it being ridiculous, but then when I asked him what he said he just said, "Okay, it's whatever, it's fine." Since then, Mark and Jennifer have been passive-aggressively making fun of my concerns, with them doing things like Mark comedy ogling her chest, or her making all sorts of boob jokes. She's done things like ostentatiously covering up her chest with her hands when she moves past people while saying things like, "Gotta guard the girls, wouldn't want to knock anyone over." Both her and Mark keep making fake Freudian slips about her chest or her figure, And Jennifer even pretends to lose her balance and fall over because her boobs were too heavy. They pretty much just do this when I'm around. They seem to think it's hilarious. They've made it very well known that Jen is really disappointed about not getting to wear the dress and that her seamstress friend is upset about it too, and Mark has seemed a bit distant and disinterested in wedding planning. I was looking over some tuxedos for women and making some suggestions to Jennifer about ones that aren't too tight in the chest or hips, and she just showed me the one that she had already picked out and said, "Is this fine, or did you want to further micromanage my specific tuxedo?" We started to get into a fight, and she accused me of being a bridezilla. When I told her she was being a bad sister, she said that she wasn't the one who was being body shamed and told what to wear. I told her my requests weren't body shaming, and she said that they were the same thing. My parents completely took Jennifer's side and said that I should just let her wear the dress. Obviously, she showed it to them too, and they thought it was beautiful. They like her friend too, and her friend has done clothing and costumes with her before. My father said that I should at least stop bothering her about the tuxedo if I'm going to make her wear one, and then I should just let her go with the one she picked. The one she wants though is very high visual impact and it is also very tailored. She said she can match it to the colors, but I feel like she'd still stand out. When I tried to get Mark to weigh in on this, he just said, "It's your wedding, do whatever you want." I guess I'll tell her to do whatever you want. And I obviously don't feel like he's very invested. I feel like he's not on the same page, but he just doesn't want to argue. He's always like that. Even though we both have good jobs, both Jennifer and I still live at home with our parents, because housing is ridiculous, and it's been awkward around each other. I've been staying over at Mark's a lot over the last year, and I was supposed to be officially moving in, but he's been kind of cool and passive about it recently. Everyone seems to be acting like I'm the asshole here. Even though Mark and Jennifer are the ones being passive-aggressive and unreasonable. I almost feel I should have just made Jennifer a bridesmaid right off the bat or told Mark that it didn't make sense for him to have female groomsmen. Am I the asshole for wanting my husband's best man to just wear a normal tuxedo? Update 1, there is not going to be a wedding. John, 42, of all people, Mark's 28 boss and gaming buddy noticed my post, as it got way more attention than I ever expected. We've only ever met a couple of times and hardly ever talked before, but he reached out to me with, "This is John, LOL, call me." So I called him from the parking lot after work. John says he's been married for about 20 years, and he's tried to give Mark relationship advice. He doesn't think we're a good match. He told me that I should talk to Mark and that Mark has been unhappy with our relationship and extremely unhappy with the wedding planning, even to the point that it's a running gag amongst him and his friends. I got into it a bit with John, because to be fair to me, Mark's ideas have been ridiculous. Just some of the things he asked for, and which John, Jennifer, 23F, and his buddies thought would be cool. He wanted the wedding party to have custom swords, daggers and amulets. He wanted them to have the swords during the ceremony, and he thought people would like fantasy amulets. Mark had told me that John was willing to pay for the bridesmaid dresses if we had them done by Jennifer's costumer friend. I told him no, because I wanted normal, nice bridesmaids dresses from someplace reputable and that the bridesmaids could buy them themselves. John told me that he had offered this as a bit of a bet with Mark. Mark wanted to serve mead at the wedding. He said that his friend, John, could provide it and that he made mead in his basement and had tons of it. I obviously said no, because why would I want mead at my wedding, never mind some guy's basement mead. John got a laugh out of this at the time, and talked to me, because he's a nerd who likes to laugh at his own jokes. Apparently, he's very proud of his basement mead, and they like to make toast with it. Basement mead has apparently become a running gag in their games, as John insisted on telling me. Frankly, John seemed kind of tickled with himself just because he was speaking with me. Mark wanted the band at the wedding to play classical covers of video game and superhero music. Mark wanted the reception to have a jester, who would wander around doing magic tricks and asking people riddles. Some lady that Mark and his friends know asked if she could be an elf at our wedding and wear her forest gown, and Mark said he'd ask me, and he described it as some kind of green Greek toga dress with leaves and elven writing on it, and that she'd have elf ears. It's a wedding, not a costume party, so I don't even know why he would ask that. I mentioned this stuff to John, and he recognized all of it and some more things to add besides, because Mark would always vent to them about the wedding plans, and John just agreed along, saying that I was constantly shooting down all of Mark's ideas. The point is that all of Mark's ideas were completely ridiculous, and that I wanted to have a wedding and not a Halloween party. John laughed when I brought this up to him and said that these ideas were awesome, and that I was just being too boring. John said that he thought we weren't a good match, and that he's told Mark that he needs to talk to me. I asked him if he thought Mark and Jennifer were a good match, and he just said yes. I asked if there had been anything between them and he said no. He said he's 100% certain they've never hooked up, because Mark doesn't have the poker face for it, especially with as much as him and the other group members ribbed them over it. He said that Mark is too oblivious for his own good and that the week after her 18th birthday Jennifer said, pretty much straight to Mark, "I'm 18, so you can fuck me now." And Mark just laughed it off as a joke. It does sound like something she'd say because Jennifer does love making inappropriate sexual jokes. John thought there was more to it though. They've had their characters date each other in games. He said they've been the very model of chastity since Mark has been dating me. Once at an event Jennifer was supposed to kiss Mark, but instead she kissed the palm of her hand and then had him kiss her palm. John is fully confident that neither of them would cheat. I went over to Mark's house, because he hadn't called or texted in a while, and he basically confirmed everything John said. Mark said that I stressed him out when I was over, and he wasn't sure about me moving in because thinking about it gave him anxiety. He didn't like any of my ideas for our house. It was his childhood home, and he's resistant to changing anything. He just has his stuff everywhere and wherever. He kept trying to talk about giving me some rooms, or some space when it's supposed to be our home where all of the space belongs to both of us. He was extremely frustrated about the wedding planning and he felt like he didn't have a say. He said the dress Jennifer wanted to wear was just about the final straw because I told him he could pick the outfits for the groomsmen and I told him Jen could be in a dress as long as it matched. She really loves the dress, and she got it from her friend. She and John and apparently all of his buddies warned him that I'd find some way to have a problem with it. He says that I talk him in circles whenever he tries to choose or change anything, even though all of his suggestions are ridiculous. And he said he'd just about given up caring by the time I complained about the dress, so he didn't bother fighting about it. He said it upset him the way I was body-shaming Jennifer about her figure and her breasts. He thought I was being jealous and controlling, and that I had been a bridezilla ever since he proposed. When I asked him why he even proposed, if I apparently give him anxiety and he doesn't even want me to move in with him. He said he felt like he was pressured to either propose or break up, and he hoped things would get better and that he didn't know if he had a good enough reason to break up. When I told him that I never pressured him to propose, he said that all of my friends and family know that I consider it a goal to get married before I'm 30, and he brought up a document on his phone where he had taken notes about what kind of proposal I wanted from all the times I had talked about it. He said that he started the document because of how obviously important it was to me to have a perfect proposal and how often I talked about what I wanted. He proposed because he felt like he had to either marry me or dump me if I was going to have time for my plans. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a timeline for your life, and I wanted to start having kids by my late 20s or early 30s at the latest. I mentioned all of this to Mark again, and he said that that was fine for me, but that he was kind of on the fence about when to have kids, and he mentioned that Jennifer isn't sure about having kids at all and certainly isn't in any hurry about them, but I told him that doesn't have anything to do with anything and that Jennifer is just being short-sighted. I asked him if anything had happened between him and Jennifer, and he said no, and I believe him. I asked him why he wasn't dating Jennifer, and he said that at first she was too young, and then he was seeing someone, and then he was dating me, and he said that he values his friendship with her more than anything. He said that his friendship with Jennifer was worth not getting to be with her that way, and that she's too attractive to want to be with him. Apparently, the only reason Mark even started dating me is because he tried flirting with me at a family party we were at, and he said I seemed into him. He doesn't think of himself as handsome, but he is, and he's got his PhD, a great job, and his own house at 28. He's definitely a catch. He didn't agree, and he said he's only ever dated his high school prom date, a girl who was kind of his girlfriend until she graduated and left, and me. Mark apologized and said that he wanted to put a hold on any more wedding or moving plans, and that he wasn't sure about the relationship. I had already started crying, but then I broke down and he apologized again. He said he was sorry for messing up my plans, and that he kept hoping things would get better. I left as soon as I felt like I could drive. By the time I got home, Mark had already texted Jen, "Your sister is crying. Sorry," and the two of them had been on the phone the whole time, and of course my mom knew and she tried to comfort me, but I could just tell she wanted to say I told you so, because she had been warning me I was going to drive Mark away, and she thought he was better with Jennifer too. Jennifer said that she tried really hard to have this work out, because she just wants Mark to be happy, and that she had tried inviting me to gaming, and for Christmas before last she bought me a Switch with games Mark likes, and that she was sorry stuff happened this way. She accused me of not really liking or caring about Mark and just wanting a generic husband. When I told her that wasn't fair, she mentioned the same stuff from the wedding planning and a bunch of other stuff from our relationship that she said made Mark feel ignored or suffocated. She said that the only reason I liked him was because he ticked boxes and always gave in and let me have my way. We started arguing, but our mom stepped in before we could get into it too bad. I asked Jennifer about what this meant for her and Mark, and she said he is absolutely her best friend and nothing is ever going to change that, and that she loves him. When I asked how she loves him, she just said that's not a discussion she wants to have right now. Our mom said everyone needed to cool off, and that was enough for Jen to step away and drop the subject. One of the commenters on my original post asked why I was marrying my sister's boyfriend, and my mom asked very nearly the same thing. She questioned how I had started dating Mark just about as soon as his age gap with Jennifer stopped being awkward, and she implied I shouldn't have been dating him in the first place. That's not fair at all. It's not like he's her property. And Jennifer can clearly just go get whatever man she wants. It's not like she had any kind of claim on a man just for knowing him. Even while she was trying to comfort me and saying that things will be all right, my mom wouldn't stop implying that I was wrong for going after Mark in the first place or criticizing me for how the relationship went. She said that Mark wasn't the man for me, and I could tell she meant that he belonged with someone like Jennifer, as if I'm not good enough or what I want doesn't matter. And then I caught her talking to Jen about how things should be fine and how she should try not to be too mad at me as if I was the one in the wrong or I should be apologizing to her. Jennifer just kind of went on like normal and went ahead and went to go game with Mark and her friends the next day. I know they've been chatting online like normal. I gave Jennifer Mark's ring to give back to him, and then I had a missed call from him while I was in the shower and a text that said, "Okay, I guess we are broken up then. I'm sorry. I don't know if I messed this up or if everyone else were the assholes here. Sorry this was so long. A lot of stuff has come out. I feel like I'm definitely not going to get married by the time I'm 30. Related comments. Comment 1. Everyone in this situation is at fault, but I feel bad for OOP because her own mother accused her of stealing her sister's soulmate just because she accepted his invitation to date. The fiancé approached her first, so why is it wrong that she accepted? While it might be true that OOP wanted to meet certain goals and saw him as a way to achieve them, her boyfriend isn't her sister's property. He asked her out and then proposed. Why is she being villainized for thinking they were in a mutual relationship? Comment 2. Seriously, Mark is the biggest villain in this story. He essentially said, "I have a crush on this underage girl at work. I'm going to befriend her and then date her older sister because she's the closest approximation I can get." He told OP he loved her and wanted to spend their lives together when he proposed. But behind her back, he made fun of her with his friends, knowing he'd rather be with someone else. He wasted her time and used her plans to marry by 30 against her. Nobody in this situation is nice, but Mark caused most of the suffering. Comment 3. Everyone in this situation is exhausted. Both people in the relationship aren't compatible, and those around them aren't great either. It's truly one of those, everyone sucks here moments.